So Dave Kuntz joining me today from the University of Montana to do a deep dive into some of the cuts that the university is facing. And first, go ahead and explain the adjustments that could happen to some of these programs.
Thanks, Laurel. It's really been a best practice for us here at the university that each year we really open up that hood and take a deep dive in our academic offerings. And that requires us to look at the data, our academic programs. We also have a 7-year review cycle we do at the Board of Regents. So this is really that work that we're doing annually, and it's coming to a head. And what the data is telling us is we do have to start sunsetting some programs that have seen some enrollment declines. Is also, they're not producing the graduates at the level that we need to sustain them at the level that they're funded. But it's not just about sunsetting some of these programs that are in enrollment decline, but also finding areas where we can invest in areas of our campus that are growing, our health sciences, our technology side of campus, and really partnering with the state and some of the degree programs that we know our workforce really needs. So going forward, this is a process that'll happen annually. And for us, it's just the best practice to ensure that our academic offerings are in line with what students across Montana are looking to study when they pick an institution of higher education.
Absolutely. So a total of 42 University of Montana programs are under review for a status change, and a vast majority of the 38 programs are adjustments to what is being offered. So, further explain the difference between the 42 and the 38, and what does it mean under review for a status change?
So we have a process, and when we're under the review for the status change, we might be taking a program from a major to a minor, or a minor to a certificate. And that 38 number, those are the programs that faculty or professors have brought to administration to make changes. Either they've seen some sort of administrative costs that aren't in line with what they want to be offering, and so we want to tighten that up. And then some of the other programs are changes that we're going to make proactively because of the data that we're seeing. Some of these programs are down to the point where they're only graduating one student a year, yet they're taking a lot of costs intake to be able to conduct those courses. And so for those programs that are changing, we're going to teach out the students that are in them, so no student will have the rug pulled out from under them, but also it gives us the opportunity to maybe move some of these classes under the umbrella of a different program to ensure that we still have an academic opportunity for students who look to study certain avenues, but it's done so in a way that's just much more cost effective, and it's in line with what we think the taxpayers expect of the University of Montana.
Okay, walk me through the top programs that will most likely be eliminated for the master's degree, and then other adjustments like to Irish studies.
Yep, so the programs that we know that we're likely going to change are going to be our master's in literature and economics. Both of those are efforts that we've had in conjunction with the faculty, and likely a lot of those students, especially studying literature at the graduate level, will teach out the students that are currently in the program. But going forward, we do have robust graduate level writing courses through our creative writing programs, as well as a lot of our other academic programs, such as environmental studies, have really strong writing tracks to make sure that those skills are in really high demand still, and we're able to intake those students who want to study those programs. Also, we're going to fold a lot of our Irish studies courses under English and likely history, so students can still take these courses. They just won't be able to get a degree in Irish studies anymore. And again, that's a program that's just seen enrollment decline in the last few years. Since 2018, we've lost about half the students that were in that program, and that just allows us to have some financial flexibility as we look to invest in areas of campus that are growing.
Okay, so what kind of pushback are you getting, and how is the university reacting to that?
The University of Montana is a public university. We want input, whether it's from students, employees, alums, supporters. And so we've gotten some pushback on some of these decisions, but the fact remains that we have to make difficult decisions as a university. We have a lot of competitors in the region, and if we don't have an academic portfolio that's in line with what we're seeing in demand of incoming students, then we're going to fall behind, and then we run the risk of losing a lot of our Montana students to other institutions in the area, which is bad for UM and bad for our state. So what we're looking at too is, as we talk about some of these programs that have seen some enrollment decrease, the University of Montana as a whole has grown over the past 5 years. So we've seen a lot of programs on our campus that are rapidly growing. Cybersecurity, criminology. We're launching the state's first public physician's assistant, the PA school, that's going to be at capacity this fall. We've also seen enrollment boom in public health and other healthcare offerings that we have. And so the university's budget is in really strong shape right now, but what we really want to do is take this review process and make sure that as we have the financial strength that we haven't had in years past, we're making the right changes needed to ensure that we can grow in a way that meets the demand of students that are choosing the University of Montana.
Sure. Any pushback that you're getting and any petitions out there from students?
Yep, we've had petitions for the literature program, the Irish Studies program. We've had a lot of discussions both behind closed doors and through some of our open avenues here at the university about the future of those programs. The folks in Montana are really passionate about these programs, and rightfully so. We have a lot of successful alums that have studied in these programs, but the fact remains that in 2026, students are studying things that they studied differently in 1996 and 1976, and the university's academic portfolio is a living organism, and we have to make proactive changes that's informed by the data to ensure that we can continue to grow in perpetuity. And right now, that requires us to sunset some of these programs or consolidate them with a different program so we can have some capital to invest in areas of campus that are growing. And by growing, I'm talking about 50, 100 students a year that are going into some of these new programs we've offered, and we just need to be able to do that in the future to maintain the health of the university.
Yeah, so the capital investments, any dollar figures that you can share with us on what that means?
Well, it's different with this effort from years past with the university is the budget is strong at the university, and we're not in a cutting environment like what might have happened 10 years ago when a lot of these other conversations happened around academic programming. And so what we're trying to do is use the budget health we have to make these decisions. And right now, about half of the university's budget comes from tuition from students. The other half comes from the state through taxpayers. And so we want to be the best stewards of both our student tuition dollars and our taxpayer dollars. So likely there's not going to be a lot of money saved in terms of the overall budget of the university, but rather we're going to be taking tranches of money and making sure that that money follows student demand. So you'll likely see some of the revenue that we take in as a university get deployed out in new ways in the years ahead to make sure that we have the ability to grow some of these programs. As I said, we're launching a new PA school. We have a new occupational therapy degree program that we're launching. We launched a recreation management degree in partnership with Logjam and some of the local industries here that are in the more of the entertainment fields. And it's costly for our program to start up. And so when we're looking at the data and making these adjustments to our academic portfolio, it's likely in most cases to free up capital to make sure that we're going in areas that are growing.
Any estimates on the capital that the university is looking for?
Our academic budget is certainly measured in the millions, and so I don't have a specific number with me, but any cost savings that are likely to occur from the decisions that we're debating this spring will be deployed right away over the summertime to the new programs that will be kicking up in the fall.
Okay. Any loss of jobs, and how many students could this impact overall?
Yep, so when it talks about students, it can be measured in the dozens. These are programs, like I said, have been enrollment decline and have lost over half of their headcount in the past 7 years. But again, we're talking about investing that money in areas where we're seeing students growing by leaps and bounds, 50, 100 students a year in some of these programs. We are expected that there'll likely be 2 faculty losses. So these are professors who won't be able to continue their jobs with the program shifting in the way they are. But again, that comes in the context of us hiring other professors in areas of need. So as of right now, we're likely going to be down 2 professors of the programs that we're talking about.
So take me through the timeline, the next steps here.
Yep, so we've been working on this process for the last couple of years. It's really come to a head in the last couple of months as it's moved into our shared governance model of decision making. We have leaders from the faculty side of campus, the staff side of campus, and the student side of campus that have a say in the operations of the university. And so our faculty senate has been presented with these options. There's healthy debate going back and forth between administration and faculty on these changes. We expect some recommendations to make its way to the Board of Regents later this spring, with the hopes that the decision is made then, and then we put the changes into practice over the summer, and then when we welcome students back in the fall, those changes will be implemented.